Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In case it's your first time here, my name is Ejatu.shaw and I'm a London-based photographer. I recently had the opportunity to photograph Pause magazine's spring cover story, featuring the incredibly talented Jordan Adetunji. Known for his eclectic blending of sounds, Jordan was nominated for a Grammy for Best Melodic Rap Performance for his song Kalani and is continuing to thrive and establish himself in the music industry. So let's take a deep dive into my shoot with him. In this video, we'll break down the various shoot setups and lighting setups I used across this shoot, giving you guys as much insight as I can into the process of working on an editorial with a big team of creatives. This shoot took place in Shutterhouse Studios in High Barnet, so after an hour-and-a-half cab ride, I finally met with my assistants Josiah and Sarah Ann. I had brought along two B10 lights, so we began by setting those up, placing one with an umbrella and diffusion onto a boom and the other onto a normal stand. Going without a modifier for this one, as I knew I wanted to bounce the lights off the walls and ceiling. I consulted with the creative director of Pause Magazine, Johnson, and Felicia, who was the stylist for our shoot, and we began to decide on which looks would pair nicely with each background option. Felicia had sourced some incredible looks across brands including Dior, Rick Owens, Louis Vuitton, David Comer, and Wells Bonner. There were quite a few varying background options in this studio, and we had a great selection of props that Johnson had rented externally, so it was quite easy for us to lock in our location and look pairings. Jordan arrived at the studio, and our makeup artist Anusha began to do some skin prep for him, and our hairstylist Selassie worked on styling his locks. For our first setup, we were going to be shooting against this hand-painted backdrop, using these trunks as a prop for Jordan to lean against and also stand on. I placed the B10 on the boom with the umbrella super high, and then the center of our setup, placing white polyboard below it to catch some light that would fall onto the bottom of our subject's clothing. I also used two polyboards on either side of our scene, with the black side facing in on one side to create some contrast, and the white side facing in on the other to create some fill. I pointed my second B10 light to the ceiling to bounce some light onto our backdrop and onto our subject's hair. Whilst I finalized the positioning of my lights, Josiah and Sarah Ann took turns to steam the backdrop and get rid of creases to make the post-production process much easier for me. For this shoot, I was using a Canon 5D Mark IV along with a 24 to 70mm lens and also my Samyang 35mm lens. For most of the shoot, I decided to use the Samyang lens despite it being a manual focus lens because I felt it was bringing a special quality to the images, especially after doing a side-by-side comparison on Capture One. Once Jordan was in his first look, this Wells Bonner suit adorned with cowrie shells paired with Christian Louboutin boots, we got to shooting. Before we get on to our next look, which was my absolute favorite by the way, and ended up being featured on the cover, I wanted to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I've been using Squarespace since the very beginning of my career, and this all-in-one platform has played a huge part in helping me to secure my commercial work as well as editorial shoots like this one. When this editorial for Pause magazine dropped, I immediately uploaded the imagery to my site, using Squarespace's duplicate pages feature to speed up the way I update my site with my latest work. Squarespace makes it so easy to organize and showcase your portfolio. You can simply drag and drop your images in place and build beautiful immersive galleries that will do your work justice. I'm also planning to use their members area feature to drop exclusive content, from tutorials on how I grade and retouch images to behind the scenes content from my commercial shoots. Squarespace makes it super easy to create members only content for your community. So if you're a creative looking to take your portfolio to the next level, head over to squarespace.com/ejatu.shaw for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the code ejatu.shaw for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now let's get back to our shoot. For our next setup, we used this brick background with these sliding wooden doors that we felt felt would give the images a very Western feel. Jordan was wearing this Dior look straight off of the Spring/Summer 25 runway and would be posing on a bike, so I wanted these shots to feel like a summer's day, as though we were shooting outdoors and the sun was high in the sky, casting harsh shadows and giving Jordan's skin a nice glow. To achieve this look, I kept my boom light quite high and to one side and in front of Jordan, and kept the other B10 as my bounce light, bouncing the light off the ceiling so it would fall onto the side of him. I put both large polyboards on either side of our setup, with the black side facing in for both to really up the contrast. We moved our equipment across the room where we would be shooting against a textured cream wall, lighting our subject with the light on the boom quite high and to the side and from a distance, and placing the other B10 quite close to him, where it would hit the wall and ceiling to create a nice glow on the image and also bounce light onto the side of him. I placed one polyboard with the black side facing in on the other side of him to create some contrast. Felicia had the amazing idea to stack a load of belts onto Jordan for this very iconic look, where he was wearing a David Comer vest and Ricohen bottoms, and we later paired this look with a fur coat. I wanted to make the most of the green door for a nice pop of colour, so asked Jordan to lean up against it at points. For our next look, a very cozy Louis Vuitton cardigan, we shifted along to this corner for some very relaxed seated moments. I kept the boom light where it was and moved the other B10 so it was across from Jordan, bouncing it onto the ceiling. I moved the polyboard and turned it around so the white side was facing in, so it would be able to catch some of the light falling from the ceiling. switched things up a bit for our final look, this really funky and colourful Louis Vuitton suit, heading to a nearby field for some outdoor moments. I switched to my 24 to 70mm lens as I wouldn't be shooting tethered, so I couldn't really check my focus with the Samyang lens. I took along 1B10 flash with the umbrella and the fusion to ensure I was able to expose Jordan correctly whilst maintaining the detail in the sky. This was one of my favourite shoots to date. It was such a fun, wholesome day with an amazing team of creatives. Shout out to my assistants, Josiah and Sarah Ann, for your amazing work. And thank you, Sarah Ann, for capturing the behind the scenes of this day. Jordan looks incredible. The styling was so on point thanks to Felicia. His skin was glowing thanks to Anusha. And his locks looked amazing thanks to Selassie. Shout out to Johnson for the fantastic creative direction and for having me on this shoot. I hope this breakdown was helpful for you guys. I've done a few other editorials as of recent, so do let me know if you want to see the behind the scenes for these and some more breakdowns of my shooting process. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.